Welcome to Dwbiadda channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
We'll start over with the second topic, which is probably I think it is DAX. So working on DAX. So DAX is a language that is available in Power BI, which allows you to write your own expressions, create your own expressions, and basically it allows you to go beyond the levels that Excel allows you to go. So you can create. There are multiple columns over here, multiple functions that are available in DAX, right? And before that, I'll also run you through a language which is there in the query editor itself, which is called M. And I'll also hand you over a couple of resources that will give you access to a lot of functions. Right, so we worked on this file. So right now we are going to run you through that what is the query, as someone mentioned in the session, that where's the query, the code of the query that is being written. So I'm right now back in the query editor, right? And you can see an icon over here in the home tab. You'll find advanced editor. Now this is for the people who are a little bit familiar with how to write codes, scripting, and all that stuff. So all the steps that we performed over here. So this is a certain function that has been written, right? A previous step which has been referred, right? And all that things are available over here. Correct. For example, the last function that we or the last step that we performed over here, we filtered a set of rows. So if we can see, head back over. So we filtered a set of rows, and what did we filter exactly? Okay, I think the filter is not visible over here. So let's head over to the previous step. So in the previous step, what we did is we uppercase the text for this column, right? So if you go over to the query editor, you want to identify which step was it. So what it is doing is it is giving a function over here, which is table.transform columns, right? It is referring to this is a reference to the previous step. So it will absorb all the information that is there until the previous step. Now it is accepting a column, name of a column. It is performing an operation on the data, which is text.upper, which is again a language. It's M language again, and the type of the column is text, right? So here you can find all the transformations which is happening. A lot of things will be very familiar to any other you can say database related language, and I'm going to provide you a reference to a repository of all the functions that are available. So if you go over and search, you can simply search Power BI M functions, right? So the first link that will pop up is the link that you require. Right, so this is a Microsoft repository of all the functions that are available. So if you want, you can filter out at an initial level. If you want, if you want to go step by step, so you can see the combiner functions. So you will be able to combine a lot of things, right? You'll have date functions. Sorry. So you'll have date functions in which you can you can add the current date or the name of the day, right, or the end of month, whatever. So there are multiple options. Okay. Similarly, you will have error handling functions, lines functions, logical functions. A lot of them are available. So everything that you can potentially write your codes on is available over here, right? So you can use all these functions. For let's run you through one example. So there's a function that allows you to check whether a string starts with or some value in a column starts with a particular string or not. So that is text. These are text functions. Text dot starts with. Sorry. Okay, so I'll perform the same function over here. So over here you can add columns as well. So you go to add column, you click on custom column. Sorry. Sorry. So you add a column. So let's say if you want to check that whether a column starts with a particular string or not. So let the column name be custom itself. So let's check whether the name of the segment starts with gov or not. So for that I'll need to type in this function. So you can write your if conditions also over here. So you can write if text dot starts with the function that I was referring to. So it is case sensitive, so you need to ensure that it is in the correct case. So yeah, it is in the correct case. So you need to now it basically flashes up syntax, but it's currently not available. Let's go through this itself. So what it is accepting, so basically it will tell you so that a text that starts with it accepts a text, right, as nullable text, then it's substring as text, an optional comparator, which is rarely used. So basically you need two things over here. So you need a text that you want to search within, then you need to enter a substring that you want to search, and it will give you the output that you that if it satisfies the criteria. All right, so we are selecting the first column, which is segment, and we are entering what we want to search within that particular column, means in the elements of particular column. So which we want to search gov. So then let's say it is we type in government, else it's other. All right, click on OK. One thing I forgot to mention. So once you have written your query, it's basically transformed over here. So over here you can see that whichever columns had the name starting with gov in caps, it is giving me government against all those rows. So whatever is gov starts with a gov over here, it's giving me a government over here. Right, this is one example. So similarly you can follow other functions over here. You can practice it using a sample data set. So this is very useful. So all these things, you can trim the text, you can so these are all text related functions over here, the thing that we are studying. So it could be text dot starts with, it could be text dot select, text dot split, it will split the columns, right? So this is all those things over here. So these are all text related. So similarly there are number functions, logical functions, right? So there are multiple functions. So it's up to you to explore. Okay, so now we move over to DAX. Now these two things are different. So now the thing that we currently went through right now, so this is the M editor. So this is called the M language, which is available in Power BI. So that's one language which is available. The other language which is available is DAX. So the expansion of DAX is data analysis expression, and this is, so once you have cleansed your data set, the data set is ready to perform operations on, and you are ready to build expand the data set, and you want to basically creative data set, more intuitive and more prepared to perform your analysis or to build your reports. So this is what you would require after that. So for writing DAX, it is advisable you hop over to the data tab and you can start writing DAX over here. So using DAX, you can again do a lot of transformations. So you can add a new column. So the way we added over here in from the query editor. So the query editor will take a lot of time because it is taking the entire files and it is performing all the operations that we did in the data, right? So it takes a lot of time. So once your data set is cleansed, it is ready, it is recommended for you to use the DAX editor or the data, go over to the data view and perform your operations over here. So now you click on new column. For example, you want to add a new column, and let's say we want to create a flag uh, for all the rows in which the sales is greater than $100,000, right? So let's create a column name which is greater than 100,000. So you can start writing your functions. So now this is a completely different language. So I'll give you resource to that as well. So I'll just give you an example first. So I can write my if conditions. If, so let's say I want to do that operation for profit. So if you, the moment you type in profit, it will give you an option. So you can see it is referring to a table over here. So all these are tables basically, and within the square brackets, it's the name of the column, right? So if profit column, wherever in the column profit, the value is greater than 100,000, it will give me yes, else it will give me no. Now this is quite responsive. You can see that instantly without all that loading and that loading and refreshing going on, it has given me instantly whether it's a yes or a no. So let's check whether it has worked correctly or not. No, it hasn't, or probably, so essentially I have entered 1 million instead of 100,000. So now you can see there are yes values as well over here. Yep. So you can see that wherever the values are greater than 100,000, it is giving me a yes against all those rows. So let's say you want to study the number of your locations that are contributing to, let's say, greater than a value that you want the store to be or the country to be performing. So you can get a flag for that. So this is one way of doing it. You can do, you could have done it in the query editor as well. You could have written in the query editor as well. But this is more responsive. This is more recommended for you to start expanding your report or adding more columns and more sophistication to your reports. So now I'm going to give you the link to the resource or the access to the resource that will help you write DAX functions. So the way we did so this is Power Query M. You can see that it's clearly mentioned over here on the top. This is Power Query M formula language. So similarly, if you type in DAX, DAX Power BI functions, the first link on the top, it will give you access to that. Right. Again, you have multiple functions over here. So you have financial functions, you have filter functions, right? You can filter the data, you can create new tables using the existing data, right? So you have multiple functionalities over here. So we are going to use I'll give you illustration of a few DAX functions that are going to be very useful for you to build reports and filter your data sets, do multiple things basically. So this is the M language which is used in the query editor, and this is the DAX language which is going to be helpful for you to build reports and add measures and do all that stuff. So basically related to the analysis stuff, and this is more towards the transformation stuff, right? So the way we created a flag for is greater than 1000, so we can create or more columns. You can create, we can do using text as well. You can perform search within the text as well, right? So you can do multiple things over here. So first of all, while building a report, now we have the data set over here. We have sales, we have COGS, which is nothing but COGS, cost of goods sold, gross sales, manufacturing price, I suppose it would be here. We have profit, we have sale price. Okay, so now let me introduce you to creating measures. So what is a measure basically? So it is going to be a function. You have to write your function which is going to help you aggregate the data or perform multiple operations on the data, filter the data. It provides multiple functionalities. For example, so for sales, we already have a column of sales over here, but if you create a measure which is more advisable while you are creating your reports, so let me first run you over how to do that. You click on the table in which you want to create the measure. Basically, you can then head over to the modeling tab. This is one way of doing it. You can head over to the modeling tab. You can click on new measure. That's the first way. And the other way is you can simply right click on the query or the table. You can click on new measure. All right. So let's create a new measure for sales. So we already have sales. Let's say it's total sales, because we are going to take a sum of all the values that are there in the sales column. So let's call it total sales. And we'll call it, so this is the function that I'm going to use here, which is sum. We'll call it sales. Now there are multiple columns. You need to be very cautious while writing your measures. So the same column could be present in multiple tables. So we are referring to right now finance underscore data. This is the table that we are going to create the measure for. So here it is. You simply close the bracket and hit enter. So you might have to do a couple of transformations. So right now let's pull it out over here. So I created a card visual. So I click on the measure, sorry. And so this is the number of decimal places. So I do not want any decimal places over here. So I simply enter 0. And I pull out total sales over here. And this is giving me $53 million of total sales. So this is what my table has. So this is what I created for sales. Similarly, so whatever things you have that you potentially need to aggregate later on, you can create measure for that. So let's say I create another measure for profits, which is sum of profit from the finance data table. So again, I have a measure ready, which is not going to be helpful for me to build the reports. So this is how you write measures. So you can also create multiple measures that allows you the flexibility to filter the data by a certain attribute or a certain you can say criteria, right? For example, if I want to just create a measure that will give me sales only for the country Germany, So I already have a measure. So this is how you need to refer it to. So you'll create a new measure again. If I write Germany sales, sorry, Germany sales. So now I'm going to introduce you to a new function, which is going to be very helpful, and you're going to use it a lot of times while building reports, which is calculate. So the syntax goes as follows. You simply open the parenthesis. So it will ask for an expression. So what is an expression? Basically, it's simply not a column. So it could be an operation performed to other values of a column. So the way we created two measures for total sales and profits. So you could use that as a function, or you can simply write the sum of sales that we did in creating all those two measures that we recently created. So let's say I just simply refer to the total sales measure that I created. So I'll write in total sales. So you can see no other column is getting flashed up. Even if I write sales, so nothing will be flashing over here. So whatever thing you are able to use in that building this measure or building anything in Power BI, so it will automatically flash up. So right now it's not coming, means I cannot use the columns while building stuff over here. So I could do it this way. So I could write sales right now. So now I can get all the access to the data, but it is more convenient to have measures, to have measures being built on a prior basis, so that you are able to refer it to while creating more reports and creating more sophisticated functions, right? So I'll write in total sales, then I write a comma, and I could then write a filter expression. So right now I'm filtering a country, which is Germany, right? So I need to type in country. So now when you are writing your filter expressions, now you can refer to a column while filtering the data. So country from the table finance data is equal to Germany, and close the parenthesis, hit enter. So now you have a separate measure. So we made an error over here. So it's now coming in country population. So we want this, ideally we would want the measure to be in the table which is from the data it is being referred to, right? So we can move this measure over to a different table. We can click on the measure, and over here you will see home table. So home table is not country population, it is finance data actually. So later on you can organize the measures, you can create a separate table or separate folder just to have measures, so that it is more accessible and more convenient, but it shouldn't be scattered all over the place. Okay, so we have total sales which is totaling to $53 million. I just copy paste and create another visual just to check if our measure is functioning correctly that we just created. Drag and drop it over. Yeah, you can see that there is a reduction. So the total sale is 53 million and Germany sale is $11.45 million. Okay, so this is guys, please make a note of it. This is a function that you will use multiple times. It's going to be very helpful while filtering the data, adding conditions to your functions, to your measures. It's going to be super helpful. So going back into the DAX editor or the data view, so we created this flag for is greater than $100,000. Okay, so you can do it using text as well. For example, the way we did it in the query editor, you can do it over here as well. So sometimes you'll come across data sets in which in which you'll have some some items as USA, but some listed at United States of America. So you need to aggregate it and make it a unified thing. So you could add your conditions over here as well. So you click on new column. I'll call this new column country underscore new. So the function that will help you search within a column over here in DAX, it is contains string. So it will give you the flash you the syntax that it requires the data. It will also give you a description of the function. So the moment you hover over a function, it's going to tell you about the function, what it's going to do. It will return true if one string text contains another string text, text string. Contain string is not case sensitive. So it is giving you a brief description of the measure or the function. So first of all, within text, so the column that you need to search the string for, so which is country. And what text do you need to find? I need to find United. All right. So this thing is going to simply give me a true or a false flag. Yep, as you can see. So wherever there is true, so I assume that it is USA. Yeah, it is indeed. And wherever it is false, anything that is anything else than USA. So if I want to populate the entire column, so I can write an if condition over here. So if this condition is true, I'll get the value which is USA. Else I'll get the default value out of the column that I was searching in, which is country. Okay, so this is more clean, right? You can see that. So rather than having United States of America, the entire thing, so I've shortened it down to USA. Correct? Okay, so next, let's build some functions or some measures related to sales and profits, and let's say contributions. Okay, so you let's say you want to study now. When you come over to to a more advanced level, once you are through with cleaning the data set, creating your columns that you require, now you are going into more sophisticated things. You are now building reports, starting to build reports, and you now need a certain analysis that you need to perform, right? So we can write DAX functions to uh, have the data set in the correct format for us to identify or interpret the data. So data being readily available and in a very good format to build the reports. Now moving over to what are things do we require to make a decision basically. So you need to transform the data set, then you need to move over to making it convenient for you to make a decision basis the data. So we have total sales. We created a new measure that is for the country Germany. So now let's see which country is contributing to how much of the overall sales. So again, we are creating a new measure. And we are creating a new measure for sales for all the countries. So what is the difference? I'll show you in a minute. So I'll use the function calculate again. and I want to calculate total sales for all country. So let's take the new country column that we created and close the parenthesis. Okay, now let's pull out country. Let's pull out total sales. So this is the difference. So over here you can see that we have sales for all the countries and the total sales is being split amongst all the countries, correct? But the measure that I recently created, which is sale of all countries, you'll notice the difference. So this is the same for all the countries, right? So how is it useful? So as we speak right now, we do not make any sense of having the same value for all the countries. But when you are going to evaluate that what is the percentage contribution for each country, you would require the total sales. At the same time, you have the sale of the country that you are going to refer to the contribution for, right? So now you can build over on the next function that we require to evaluate the contribution for each country. So you right click on the data, right click on the query rather, click on new measure, and I'll type in sales contribution percentage. So you can simply type in the two measures, it will give you a division. And there is also another function that you can use, which is divide. So I need to divide it will ask you for the numerator, which is total sales, the denominator, which is sale or country, all countries, and alternate result, which is optional, you may not enter it. Right, so we have the new measure. So the format would not be correct. Let me show you. It is giving me a decimal value right now. So when you go over to the modeling tab, having the measure selected, right, you will be able to see a lot of things that you can do over here. So for now, we need to change the format into a percentage format. So there we are. So we have a percentage format, and how many decimal places do we want? We want 0 decimal places. Don't know, it may be because of something else. All right, so we have a sales contribution for all the countries. So I can sort the all the values in the table. So I can see that France is contributing to a majority of my sales. So it is contributing to 23% of my overall sales. And the least contributor is India, because we manually created this country. And you can see the least contributor in the original data set is USA. It is contributing to 16% of the overall sales. So similarly, you can create measures for the volume contribution, the profits contribution. So profits contribution might be different from the sales contribution. So the most profitable country might be different, correct? So you can create measures for that as well. You can study the data, you can come to a conclusion. All right, so this is how you can create sophistication and you can create new measures that will help you with your analysis using DAX. So let's move forward. So everyone with me?
Yep.
So over here we have a large data set. So this is the data set that we imported. So I already had this data set in my model. This is a fairly large data set. It is consisting of 10 million rows, which is quite huge, right? And we are going to, in a moment we'll be building reports and dashboards using this table, right? So let's create a few functions that will help us analyze the data better. All right. So let's see this raw data set. What do we have over here? So we have the transactions. We have a product ID against all the rows over here. We have a date of transaction. We have a zip code. We have the number of units sold, and we have a revenue generated. And last but not the least, we have a content. All right. Okay. So let's build some sophisticated reports now. DAX functions rather. So now over here you can see that we have total revenue. So the total revenue is amounting to 5 billion, right? And the total units, which is 11 million units. Okay. So right now we have the data for the entire thing right now. Okay. So what if we want to create more columns and create the data more readable? So the data set is not good enough for us to start doing our analysis and creating multiple things out of the data. So for example, over here, if I were to filter the date, so I'll have to filter it uh, using all the dates, which is individual dates. So it is not uh, you can say a month that I need to filter. What if I need to filter out a month? So for that, I need to change the format or create additional columns for me to evaluate the data and build my reports. So I head over to modeling tab again, click on new column. So this is basic transformational stuff that I'm going to show you. So to pull out the year from the date, we would need, so I simply write year, and the function which is a quite a handy function again. So you can all make a note of it, which is format. So what it does is it takes input as a column, takes a column as an input. Over here it takes we need date from the sales table itself, and the format needs to be a year function, y. So let's see what it does. So now you can see what I was referring to. It's taking some time to create a new column. Since the data set is quite heavy, it is having 10 million rows. So since we're working in DAX right now, we're working in the data view right now, it still didn't take a very considerable longer amount of time. Had we been working in the query editor, it would have taken considerably longer to build this one column. And to refresh that, it would have taken even more time. But it was quite responsive. I think it threw the result in a few seconds, which is quite good. So we have the month over, sorry, we have the year over here. Similarly, we need the month over here as well. Again, format. date again, format, which is, let's say I take a short month, triple M. So first three letters of the month. So we have, now it is starting to make sense. So we can easily filter out a month now. We can easily filter out a year as well. Similarly, if you want, we can add quarter as well, the fiscal quarter. Simply type in Q for quarter. I think this is more intuitive, makes more sense. Having a Q before the quarter number. So I simply added a concatenate function and combined Q and the value that is coming out of this function, which is format. All right, so this is now shaping our data into a better data set for us to perform our analysis. Correct. So what if I want the combined entity, means the month and the year combined? So that is quite handy for us to, when we refer to as what was the revenue in the month of April 2011, right? That is more convenient. That is more, more used as we speak. So let's create a new column for that as well. We'll call it month here. We can use concatenate again. Text one, which is nothing but the month. The second one, which is nothing but year. Okay. So this is more intuitive. So now, when it comes to building measures, so in this data set that we were referring to, so we have the total revenue. The measure has already been created. We have the total units, right? But now, if we want to, do a comparison that how many units did we sell this year, and what was the number last year? So this is all the comparative things that we need. So we are going to create measures for that. So let's start building our measures. So let's first start with the revenue. So first of all, let's build the measure for let's say YTD revenue. So how much revenue have we done year till date? So it is going to be dynamic. It's going to be for the year that you select. So it is sliceable. You can add slicers and you can slice the data the way you want. So for that, simply write the name of the measure, which is YTD revenue. We'll type in again calculate. Total YTD expression, which is total revenue, and a filter if you want. Filter could be the date. From the sales table. Or rather it could be even year as well. So let's rather do year. And now let's see what values we are getting. So getting an error. Okay, so let's study what error we might have made over here. So we can go back to the expression again. So what it is asking us, so it is asking for an expression, so which is we are going to pass, which is total revenue. So date, it's asking for a dates column. So we'll type in date. Remember from the table that we want to create the data set or the visual. Filter if you want any. So you can simply filter the date. That's fine. So we should be fine by now. Let's do it again. So yeah, we have it. So we have a YTD revenue of 136.96 million. So now let's filter the data and check whether it is responding to our filters or not. So you have the data until, so from 2000 to 2015. So you can see that it is responding and it is changing as per the filter that we are applying. Right, so this is one important thing that we might need on an ongoing basis. And one another important thing that we require to build reports is the revenue that we did last year. So for that, we have a very handy function, which is same period last year. So we call it LY revenue. Again, we use the function calculate total revenue. Oops, sorry. Same period last year. Oh, sorry. So we need to type in first of all the total revenue or the expression that we require, and the filter, which is same period last year, and the dates. So what this function is doing is it is taking in an expression as an input, which is sum of revenue or total revenue. Now it is filtering the entire data basis the input that we give, which is it is going to filter out the table for the last year. For example, if you place a filter on 2014, so it is going to give us the total revenue that we did in 2013, which is 1 year back. Now let's evaluate the same thing by building a small table. So we take total revenue, we take last year revenue. Let's analyze the data by country, let's say. Okay, so we have a problem over here. So you can see that the date column has to be unique while you're working with dates, right? So it is not going to work when we have multiple uh, values of the same date. So it is a good practice to have a date table created for that. So let's say if we already have a date table, so we do have a date table already. Right, and we have all the stuff over here. And for it to function correctly, we need to ensure that there is a relationship which is established between the two tables, which is the sales table and the date table. So you go to manage relationships tab over here, and we see that there is already a connection between the products in the products table and the manufacturers that we have for each individual product. And similarly, we have a connection between the sales in the product ID in the sales table and the products in the products table, the product ID column, right? So essentially what we are ending up with over here is that we have a relationship between the manufacturer, which is contributing to a majority of my sales. So for that manufacturer is critical for me. So that is what I'm going to end up with when I analyze the data. So let's head over and create a new relationship. It's going to be between the sales table and the date table. So you can see that there is a many-to-one relationship between the two tables. So which means that there is a single value in the second table, whereas there are multiple values of the same thing in the first table. And simply click on OK. So we have created a relationship successfully. And now when I calculate the last year revenue, I need to refer to the date table, the column in the date table, not in the sales table. The date table's date is what I require. Yep, so now it is working fine, absolutely fine. So just need to, correct the decimal places to 0. So right now it is giving me the same value because I may not have filtered a year, or I might have, but from a different table. So now we will be referring to when we slice dice the data, we'll be referring to the date table at a date level. So now you can see that I have a list over here. So this is a slicer, so I can basically slice it over here, so it's going to respond. But while looking at the last year revenue, I essentially need a single year. So I'll click the small icon over here and click on list. So click on 2015. So this is the revenue in 2015 from Canada, and this is the last year revenue for Canada. Again for 2014, 2013. Correct. This is how it goes. Right. So one important metric that we look at while calculating the growth or degrowth. So we look at how much revenue we did last year and how much we did this year, and what is the growth percentage, and take critical decisions whether we want to invest more in a country or we want to pull back investment because it is not generating significant sales or returns. Right. So we need to check whether it is growing or degrowing. So for that, again, we'll right click on the sales table and create a new measure. We'll call it at growth percentage. In what? That's revenue. LY, revenue growth percentage. So this is the growth percentage against last year. So this is nothing but a division, rather it would be the increase in sales, which is total revenue minus the last year's revenue divided by last year's revenue. Format it as a percentage, 0 decimal places. Let's put it into a report. So probably we'll need more decimal places. Okay, so in year 2012, all the countries were growing by a bare minimum of at least a 2.9%. Let's see how it was in 2013. So there were two countries that were degrowing, right? And this is the drill down basically, and you can basically analyze for any year basically. So you can see that 2010 was a major degrowth year, and so was 2009, right? You can see that from the values, it is apparent. So now to visually analyze the data, you can, so it is very difficult for you to, once you have multiple rows, multiple countries, multiple products, so it is difficult for you to, analyze. So for that, you can basically create your own, what do you call it? It's conditional formatting that you can do. So you can highlight the negative years in, or the negative values in red. You can highlight the positive values in green, that you can do. That's possible. So all the transformations or all the visualizations, editing, and all the visuals formatting, you can do from this little icon over here. Once you select the visual, you can click on this icon over here in the visualizations tab. It is available, and you can basically do any type of editing. So you can choose to take a different type of a header. You could do bold header, you could do alternating rows. So all that transformations and change of visualizations, you can do it from here. Similarly, you can do conditional formatting as well. So I'll give you a small illustration. So we'll be changing the font color. So you can just turn it on, and the moment you turn it on, so you'll be able to write your rules and give a condition basis which it's going to be whatever. So basically I'm going to write a rule right now. So it is not going to be color scale that I want. It is rules that I essentially want. So if the value just a moment. So it is the LY revenue growth percentage that we want to edit. So the font color is of a certain percentage. So it is by default given me a color scale. Basically, the ones which is having the highest amount of degrowth is in the deepest red color, and which is the highest value, it is in the brightest green color. So that's not we would want. So a negative growth is a negative growth. So we would essentially want a rule. So any value which is greater than or equal to. So we can select numbers or we can select percentages as well. So let's do it in the form of a number. So 100%, sorry, anything which is greater than 0 means it is not negative, it is in positive. So that's what we want it as in green. So again, we can do a green color just like this. If you don't want anything which is less, so we can simply erase it. We can write another rule. In this case, we don't want the maximum value. Anything which is less than 0, which is a red. Let's test it out. So everything is in degrowing. Everything is degrowing. So it is everything is in red over here. Now let's go back to 2008. Everything is in red again. 2007 again. Over here you can see. So the conditional formatting is working. Okay, this is a small example of the visualization changes that you can do. All right. So this is at a country level. Now, suppose if you want to analyze the data at a product level. So we already have so it is very essential that we have a relationship established between the transactions table and the product ID. So we have a relationship already active, which is the sales in the product ID in the sales table, I'm sorry, and product ID in the products table. So whatever attributes I want from the product table, I will be able to perform an analysis through the table, which is the sales table. Okay, so we have multiple categories. So let's analyze the data at a category level. So let's see in the year 2014, France grew by 1.9%. So let's analyze that by which category the country has been degrown. So probably we can take a decision over there. So rather than having country name over here, we can put product or segment. Remember, from the products table. Now we have overall breakup, but we are majorly seeing it from the country, for the country France. So we can filter out the data. So we'll type in country name again. So this time we'll be adding it as a slicer. So now let's filter France. And let's see where is the majority of degrowth coming from. So you can see the moderation segment has been, okay, it's showing a negative growth of 10.9%. I think there's something wrong with the data. I think it's probably the measure that has gone wrong, because the last year revenue, okay, it's fine. So last year revenue for moderation segment stands at it was what it was. It was 4 million roughly, and this year it is 3.6 million. So it's a 10.9% degrowth. So probably if you want to analyze the data at a deeper level, what all products were contributing to that degrowth, you can do that as well. So you can again add a slicer. So this is segment. You can add segment as a slicer as well. And over here, let's figure out which product was contributing to the degrowth. So rather than having segment over here, I'll just pull out segment and add in product. All right, so you can see that there had been significant sales in these products. Maximus UM 13, 16, 22, all these products were having sales in the previous year, but there was no sales in the year that we have selected, which is 2014. Right, so that is a major reason for the degrowth. Right, and all these products have also been degrowing. Now it could also be figured out that how many what all products were a major contributor for this segment and are degrowing. So this product ID may be, so this product, which is Aliqui UM06, it was not a major contributor. It has just a revenue of 4,500 in last year, and this year it was 1.8 thousand. So it doesn't matter. So whichever product is a major contributor. So for example, this contributed to $243,000 worth of sale last year, but this year it has been degrowing at a percentage of 54% approximately. So this is a major cause of concern. So this is how you can drill down and perform a multiple level analysis at an attribute level, at a product level, at the level that you desire. Right, so this is how you build your sophistication through the dataset, and you analyze the data and come to a conclusion. Everyone with me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is DAX, and this is a small illustration that the level of sophistication that you can build your reports at, the level of analysis that you can do. Now the next step is visualizing the data. So basically we have created our measures, right? And now we need to analyze the data to create a graph, charts, tables, so that you are able to visually interpret the data. Because when you speak from a perspective of having tables and numbers, it is very difficult to analyze the data. But once you get a visual representation of it, it's much easier. So now let's head over to visualizations, and let's visualize the data and just see. So first of all, let's create a basic trend graph of the sales or the revenue. So this is a line chart. You click on line chart, so that pops up in the canvas. You can expand it and head over to the table that you want to build your reports with. So I pull out this report, pull out total revenue. So this is the total revenue. At what level? This is at the entire aggregated level. So all the years, all the countries, all the products, everything aggregated. So this is what we do not want right now. So let's head over to date now, and let's pull out the date over here and just drag it and drop it over here. So now we are getting the data at a level that is at a yearly level. So you can see that we have, this is a revenue in 2000, 2001, 2, 3, moving forward all the way up to 2015, right? So this is at a yearly level. Now the moment you click on this little icon over here, So this will expand one level down in the hierarchy. So when we when we are talking at a yearly level, the next level could be a quarterly level. So let's click and just analyze what is happening. Yep, so this data is now at a quarterly level. You can see there is seasonality in the data as well. So this is a very clean way to visualize the data and understand whether there is seasonality in the data or not. So you can see that quarter one is generally low, quarter two is quite high in majority of the cases. So whatever products this company has been dealing in has seasonality in the data. Quarter three is low again, and quarter four is quite low again. Again, coming quarter one, it is quite low. Quarter two is higher. Quarter three is again it drops down. So whatever products this company is dealing in, it has the majority of business comes in the quarter two, right? And let's now analyze the data. This is at a all country level, right? And let's now bring in another level of filtering. So let's pull out country. So now let's analyze the data by country. Okay, so we have a slicer ready. So let's go back to the previous level of hierarchy. So if you click on drill up, this little icon over here in the left, it's going to go back in the yearly level. So now let's filter the country. So let's filter out Canada. So this is how Canada has been trending. So if you want, so to give you a rough idea, you have data labels over here. You have access over here. So it is $3 million at the peak sale in the year 2006. But if you want, you can add data labels to the visual as well. So once you click on the visual and click on this little icon over here, which is format, and enable the option which is data labels. So this is now going to give you a small icon on top of the line chart. So from which you can easily see what was the number in that particular year without hovering over the data. So you can obviously see the data once you hover over the line and click on the line, but this you can see without hovering the data. All right. If you want, if you think that the formatting is not up to the mark, and if you want to change the formatting, you can do that as well. So once you go to the data labels, you can see that display units is set at auto. So you can change it over. You can make it in millions, you can make it in thousands, you can make it none. If you make it none, it's going to be a big number. So let's make it none for once. It is giving you a big number right now. It is going to give you the exact figure. But if you don't want that, you can leave as it is. So it is by default giving you an auto. If the number is large enough, it is going to contract and give you in millions. If it is slightly smaller, it will give you in thousands, so on and so forth. This is for the country France. So let's see and try to visualize the data with last year revenue as well. Let's see if it is making any sense and if we can visualize that. No, probably there is something that we need to fix. Okay, so this is revenue growth percentage. That's not what we want. So last year revenue is what we want. So yep, you can see that. So this is giving me a good visual representation that what revenue we did the year that we are currently at. So this is 2005. The blue line is giving you the total revenue for the year that we are hovering over, and the last year revenue. So you can clearly see that there is a major degrowth when it comes to previous year's revenue in the year starting 2007, which was the trigger point of the financial crisis, and until the year uh, 2011, it had been degrowing over the last year. Right? It is now evident looking at the data. Similarly, right now there is just one line graph that we are seeing. Now, suppose we want to study the data by which product segment has been performing very well through all these years. You can type in segment from the products table. You can add it to legend. You could also alternatively, you can drag and drop it over here. It would automatically be recognized. So you can see that at an aggregated level. So starting the year 2000 until the year which was it 2008, you can see convenience was the majority contributor, right? It is quite evident looking at the data. But as we moved forward from 2008, moderation took over and became the highest revenue grosser amongst all the product categories, right? So it is giving me a very clean visual representation, right, everyone?
Yep.
Now let's create another quote. Just to give you an overall snapshot. So if you are analyzing the sales at a country level, so you can simply create a map also that will give you a simple visualization of which country is uh, giving you how much of revenue. Total revenue, country name, and just drag and drop it. Yep, you can see that this is a visual representation of the revenue done by each country. Once you hover over the country, now you can get a total revenue of each country. And similarly, the way we did for other visuals, you can add slicers for the year, for the month, or any other level of aggregation. So let's add it for a year. So this will keep on changing. So country Germany for the year 2006, this was the revenue. For the year 2007, the revenue is changing. So let's build now a visual for the product segment. So which product segment is how, what's the performance of each product segment. So these are all the product segments which is available with us. So let's build a tree map. So this is going to give you a very clean visual representation that how are each product segments performing. Right, so overall level, it's giving you a very clear idea that moderation is the biggest segment by far. So we have an absolute number, but we do not have a percentage split between each category right now, between each segment. So we can go ahead and build a measure for that. So we already have a measure which is total revenue. So now let's build a measure for the aggregated sale of all the product segments. So which would be revenue all segments. And it's going to be calculate total revenue all segment. So there we have it. Now the contribution of each product segment would be segment revenue contribution percentage would be the total revenue divided by revenue all segments. So this is an alternate way. So previously we did it using the divide function. So this is an alternate way of doing that. So both ways you can do that. It would give you the same value. So again, it is a percentage value. So now you can see that it is giving me a percentage contribution value for each of the product segments. All right. So there is an alternate way also. So what if I want both the things? I do not want only the revenue contribution percentage. I also want the overall revenue number. At the same time, I want the segment revenue contribution percentage as well. So what we need to do over here is we just need to pull over the total revenue, right? And we can add it to the tooltip. So you can see that there is an option which is tooltips. So you can just drag the segment revenue contribution percentage and drop it over here. So once you hover over the visual, you will get both the things. So you're going to get the total revenue as well, and you are going to get the segment revenue contribution as well. So you can add another level of another measure. You can add another value. You can add total number of units sold. You can add all those things as well. So you can, let's add another thing. Let's add total units as well. All right, so we have total units as well over here. Okay, and let's do a simple comparative analysis that what is the best product segment in each country. So let's add a slicer for a country. And let's slice the data now. So for Canada, so the biggest product segment is not moderation, it is convenience. For France, it is moderation. For Germany, it is moderation by a significant amount. It is 48% contribution when it comes to segment revenue contribution percentage. So obviously it is going to be different for each year, but aggregating all the years, it is by far the biggest product segment. It's Mexico, moderation again, and for USA, moderation again. Okay, everyone with me until now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So now let's build some sophistication in the data. So let's see which product segment has the potential when it comes to generating most amount of revenue per unit sold. So for that, the metrics obviously it's going to be different for different industries. But for the retail segment or for the you know hard goods product sales segment, so it's a very important metric is average selling price, which is nothing but the total revenue generated by the total amount of units sold. So let's create a measure for ASP, which is nothing but the average selling price. Total revenue by total units. Right, so we have it over here. So we drag and drop the ASP over here, and let's analyze the product segment. Okay, you can see that moderation is the highest ASP product segment. So it generates approximately, so it's a huge number over here. Let's trim it down. Okay, so moderation approximately generates 998, exactly $998 per unit sold. Right, so whereas productivity generates a very low value, so it is generating just $171 per unit sold. So it might be different for different countries, right? So this is how the ESP has been trending. So it could be change in trend as well. So is there a change in trend? So if we want to analyze that, so we can simply create another line chart over here and add in date. So we can remove segment for now from here. So you can see there is a significant change in the average selling price, right? So the overall average selling price has gone up significantly as compared to the starting year, which is 2000, and in 2010 it was at its peak, and as we move forward, it is again dropping. So since 2000, it has been a significant change in trend. So it is trending. So how are each product segments trending? So this is the trend. So moderation is it's trending quite a bit. Has been trending quite a lot, and the trend again may be different for different countries. Similarly, there are different visuals. There is a scatter plot as well. You can create multiple cards. I've already shown you. You can simply do simply click on the card over here. It is going to give you a simple card that will give you a single value. It's the total units. Total revenue. Right. So it is going to give you a single value, and as also shown earlier as well. So you can click on data label, and you can just change it. If you want none, it will give you a big value. If you want millions, it's going to give you slightly smaller value. Depends on the data, depends on the numbers that you have, right? Similarly, you can add those visuals over here. You can add this over here. You can add this on top of that. You can build a very complex report. Right? Similarly, you can experiment with other, you can say, other visuals over here. So you have a pie chart as well. You can add create pie charts. You can create tables. So there are two types of tables. So this is a normal table. This is going to give you a very generic or a very normal table that you would get in a maybe an Excel table. So let's do it for a manufacturer. Let's see how many manufacturers are there. So we have multiple manufacturers. So let's see how much sales we are getting for each manufacturer. Okay. Let's view it by year. Okay. So you can see that. So this is how you can create your reports in a simple single table, which is this table over here. But if you want all the a certain attribute to come in columns, so you have to switch over to the other table, which is the matrix table. So once you do that, you'll have to drag it over and drop the this thing over here. So you can now see the all the things over here in this format. All right. Let's pull out country over here. And you can simply create a matrix, and you can simply view the data that we created a line chart for. You can simply see how much percentage we had been growing or degrowing at a yearly level. So we have the absolute revenue right now. So we can have the last year revenue growth percentage over here as well. So this will give me both the things. So this is giving me the revenue growth as well as the total revenue. So this is the year that we started at. So we don't have any values for the year prior to it. So therefore it is giving me a 0 by 0, it is infinity. So it's not giving me any value over here. But going forward, it has value for every single year. So you can analyze the data in this manner as well. And going on, you can also visualize and change the style of visuals as well. As I have shown you, you can do that. So there are few options. You can go minimal. You can go bold headers, which is my favorite. You can also change the formatting. So you can go to column headers. So if you don't like if it is indented in a way that you do not want, you can change the indentation alignment. You can make it center. Right, so we have it in the center. You can change the font as well if you want to. You can add outlines. Right, you can do multiple things over here. You can also add your conditional formatting, so it's going to give you a clean view whether it is growing or degrowing. You can add background colors as well if you want to, based on the condition. So if it is a growth, you could add probably a green color. If it's degrowing, you can probably add a red color. If it is flat, you can probably add another color for that as well. You can also add icons as well. So you can see that you can place your conditions over here. You can go to advanced controls. You can set your conditions. You can add conditions for each icon. You can change the icons as well. You can choose whether you want the grand total or not. So if you do not want the grand total, you could probably remove it. You can change the formatting of the totals. So it is going to remove the subtotals over here. Column subtotals you could add or delete. So all the formatting stuff you can do from this little icon over here. And you can also write your R scripts as well. If you are familiar with R language, you can go on and write scripts in R as well. So let's see which all manufacturers are contributing to majority of the volumes that we are selling. These are all the manufacturers. This is the total units sold. Let's call it units contribution percentage. This is total units. Or if first would need, we can also do it in a single measure as well. Created the contribution a couple of times, so you can also do it in a single measure as well. So you just need to type in calculate total units. all manufacturers. So I can add total units sold over here in the beginning. So the total units that we are selling divided by the all the units sold by all the manufacturers. This is going to give me a units contribution percentage, or rather it is manufacturer. Sorry. So you can see that Natura over here is the highest contributor when it comes to total units sold. So this turns out to be the topmost manufacturer that I have to manage. So we need to ensure that everything is in total alignment and everything is perfect when it comes to this manufacturer. So these are manufacturer may not be as critical as the top 2, 3, 4 manufacturers, which is contributing to probably the top, let's say 70%, 80% of the overall sale. And this usually also comes in very handy. So this is a multi-row card. So let's say there is a country name. So these are all countries and product segment. So it will have all the country name and all the segments, and you can add your values over here. So you can add units. You can add total revenue. You could format it as well. So you can see that there is a small bar over here on the left of the visual. You can change the bar color over here. You can see it's changing. You can change the thickness of the bar, increase the padding. You could add background colors as well. So these are few visuals that you can create over here in Power BI desktop. So it depends on the type of report that you want to build. So if it is a simple trend analysis, it is recommended for you to go for a line chart. If you're looking at absolute numbers, it is preferable to create a table. If you want to do a percentage share, you could probably go for a this, I think, this visual over here. This is very good when analyzing the contribution for each product segment or each product or each country, anything of that sort. And there could be instances wherein you want to see the share in a different format. So probably you can do a pie chart as well. So pie chart also comes in handy. So let's do a small pie chart as well. So pull out total revenue is going to give you the total revenue by each country. You can see majority of the sales, means 92% of the sales is coming from USA. Again, over here you can go ahead and change the visuals, and you can choose which color represents which country. So all those formatting could be done over here. Right, when you hover over it, you can see what all things are displayed over here. So it is currently total revenue. Again, if you want the total units sold as well, you can again do that using the tooltip function over here. Just drag and drop the total units over here in tooltips. So you'll start getting the total units as well. Changing the colors, you can do that over here. Data colors, you could change the color over to a different color. You could change the formatting. You want to increase or decrease the size of the headers of each thing, you can do that over here very easily. Legend, you can choose to turn on the legend, turn off the legend. Once you turn on the legend, you see all the legends are flashing up over here. So USA represented by this color, France by this, Germany by this, Mexico by this, Canada by this. All right, I think we are mostly through. Let's run you through a couple of more reports. I think this is also a very handy report over here, a handy visual over here. Simply, it is a good indicator of which segments or which countries or which categories are doing well. Right, so you can also drill it down. Let's say total units by country name. So you can see that millions is not making any sense over here because the volume is quite low over here. So we can change the formatting over here. So from display units auto, you can choose none. It's going to give you a number. So currently we did for country, we can do for segment. Right, this is how we have been selling. Again, you can slice dice the data. So the interesting part is that you can slice dice the data the way you want. You can add your slices over here, and in case if you want to just analyze the data for just one country or one product segment or anything of that sort, you can also choose the filters pane as well. So over here in the filters pane, so let's say it's a very small category which is regular over here. So I'll just increase the size a little bit. All right, so regular is a very small category. You may not even want it to flash in the reports. So for that, what you can do is you can just click on the filters pane over here in the side. You can just click this, it will flash you a drop down. You can select all and reverse select what you do not want in the report. So this is erased from the report all season if you want to this to be deleted, so it is no longer showing in the report. And similarly, if you want to customize the visual for just particular for just a particular country, you can simply type in the country name or whatever column you want. You can drag and drop it over here in the filters pane, and you can just filter out the countries for which you want the data. So just filter out country, and over here you can see that now it is showing the data for just one country, which is Canada. And if you want, you can create multiple reports like this. Let's say you want to create 2 reports, you can create 2 reports over here. You can change the country for the second one. Now this thing is going to be changed only for the visual that is selected. So this visual is currently selected, the second one which is on the right. And let's say I want to change it for the country France. So now this is showing the data for France. And just to make it visually appealing, we could change the data colors. So maybe we can make it a different color for France. And another thing, we could we would want to like make sure that it is represented over here, so we can add a title. So rather than having total units by segment, you could just add that this is for the country Canada. Right over here you can see it is flashing. You could change the font color as well. There you go. And another thing, you could also add in text over here. So this is what, so looking at the report, you could obviously you can give a name for each of the reports. So this is total revenue, right? So you can also add a text box over here on the top. So you can click on the text box which is there in the home tab right here. Now you can just mention what it actually represents. So this is total revenue trend analysis by product segment. To change the font size. You change the alignment. You can make it bold if you want. And there it is. Again, if you want, you can change the formatting. You could insert a link as well. If you click on it, it will direct you to a link. So those all things could be done over here. All right, so we are nearing the end of the session. So how did you find it? So basically, this is a tool which is very widely used. So these two tools, Tableau and Power BI, lie on top of the list when it comes to data visualization and analysis, both at the same time. These are two tools that are standing way apart or far apart from all the other tools that are available in the market. And by far, Power BI is very flexible in terms of adding visuals, right? And it's a great thing. And I think Tableau and Power BI both are great, but I think it's my personal opinion that Power BI is more convenient and more intuitive and more user friendly. And how did you people like the session?
Good. It was good.
It was great, Suj.
Thank you. So maybe in further sessions we could do a more detailed session on maybe in one of the things that come along with Power BI. For example, we could do a detailed session of the query editor, because I just ran you through the basic ones, basic functionalities that are available, and there are a lot of things to explore over here. You can join multiple tables, you can create you can merge multiple tables, you could do joins, you could you know uh, do selections, you could filter out the data, you can do multiple things basically. Even in DAX also you could do multiple things, you could do multiple level of data transformations, you could join multiple tables, you could create your own, generate your own tables as well, and a lot of things could be done. So right now we have only worked with the dates. So you can even work with time as well if you are in a business that is very sensitive to time as well. For example, if you are in an online business, so it is very critical for you to analyze that what is the level of traffic that you are getting per hour, and what is the level of sales that you are able to generate per hour. So you need to make sure that all the infrastructure is intact at that level, and you need to make the appropriate changes in your website, all the offers, promotions, and all that things you could do. Right, so now we can take the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Subhajit, for taking up the session. Guys, if you have any questions, you can shoot it out. Also, we are going to accept your feedback or recommendations, anything, whatever it is. Yes, Namish, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't think so, like any recommendations or any suggestions, but because Subhashit has already gave pretty much good information for on the Power BI. So it's just up on us, like when we, like we try ourselves.
So yeah, it is highly recommended you go out and download it. It's absolutely free. You can download it on your machine, and you can start building your reports. I think then once you get hands-on with the tool, and once you are comfortable with building reports and building queries, and then I think you should a lot of questions should come in your mind, and probably we can do a session later on as well. And for now, is there anything that any question in your mind that comes up regarding the functionality and regarding the features, and how flexible the tool is? All those things you can simply go ahead and ask any question.
No, for now I don't have anything.
Okay.
Same here, not for much questions actually on this front, but yeah, definitely. Like in my project, I've been using more on the query editor part, like the
Okay.
query side and all connecting to source. So that is something which I would definitely look forward to.
Yeah, when it comes to that, Power BI has a lot of interfaces you can connect with. You can simply connect your database to the Power BI, and you can start building your reports over there as well. So as and when the data is coming in into the database, so we have, for example, if you are into a retail sales segment, for example, so data is coming in every day. So we have transactions happening every day. Even if you are in a service based industry, you are in a, let's say, a BPO industry or a KPO or a BPO. So we have calls data coming in every day. We have if you are in an online business, you have transactions happening every day, every hour. So we have data coming in, flowing in into databases on a very frequent basis, right? So once you are done with this, and once you have built your reports, so what all we have built, so it is so convenient. So you just need to refresh the reports, and you have the live data with you. So gone are those days where we had to refresh the entire thing and create new reports every day, because these all tools were not available at our disposal. But with the introduction of Tableau and Power BI, these tools are made life so convenient that it happens in lightning fast speed. Basically, it allows you a lot of flexibility, and it allows you a lot of automation. You can do a lot of automation as well, and you can also go on and share that reports with different people as well.
Right. So just one question did come to my mind. In terms of this maps and Power BI and all, are we
Mhm.
able to create overlay maps and all?
Overlay as in?
As in, like, say, there is a like a part of the region which is used by one vendor, another region in the same zip code is used by another vendor, and
So when it
there's
comes
a
to
part of it which is
customizing,
an overlap, like overlap in the
when
region,
it comes
like
to
which two vendors
customizing,
are.
I think that's you could do that. So you could customize the visual again. So you could add data colors for each country. So this is what you're talking about.
Say, suppose this is country, but I'm talking about region wise. Say, okay, one vendor is servicing one region, and another
Uh-huh.
vendor is servicing the like a part of that region. Like it's a
Okay.
overlap map kind of.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure if we can do that, but certainly we can create. You're talking about building tables or building a visual. So you're talking about basically a visual,
Visual,
because
visual, yeah,
which visual are you talking about? This map?
yeah, map.
Um, Map. Actually, I haven't explored map as much, but you can definitely customize the visual which that each of the map is showing. So potentially we could do that as well. You could probably
So can
explore
you
this map
connect to any
visual there.
external map softwares and all to this thing? Like, say, suppose they want to plan a trip or something of some field managers and all. So can we
Uh-huh.
use Google Maps in this kind of?
Google Maps, I'm not sure about that, but I think it's
Okay.
mostly to import uh, tabular data. You could you could do that definitely, but I'm not sure if you can import maps and all.
Okay. But we can show like point A to point B a route like which is actually existing like once we have the data in that tabular form like the street name, the zip codes and all.
I'm not sure, but because it is mostly representing a tabular data that we have in the data sets, so it is a visual representation of this. So you could represent this in a visual format on a map, but I don't think so. It's something like a navigation, functionality or
Right.
something of that sort. I am not
Okay.
sure if you can do that.
Okay. Okay.
It is more of a transformational and automation and analytical tool that gives you a lot of visualization features. So visualizing your reports, analyzing your reports. So this is a tool mostly for that. And the functionality of this tool is that you can handle millions of rows. So a Excel sheet cannot handle millions of rows. Even if we are able to handle millions of rows, even if you go beyond like 500,000 rows, the Excel sheet would literally hang up multiple times. You have to close the Excel sheet and just open it over again. But this tool allows you a lot of functionality, and this can handle a lot of data as compared to other softwares. And the flexibility is that you can create multiple visuals within a single page. So you could probably do 2 visuals on a single page. So right now we are analyzing the sales or the total revenue at a yearly level. But if you want to analyze another thing over here, let's say you want this report over here in the same report, you can simply copy the report and you can just paste it over here in the report that we're talking about. So this could be done.
Yeah, thank you, Subhajit. Some other members, Swati or Kumar, Shriram, Hemant, Ankita. Please ask if you have any more questions. Maybe there are a lot of members are here. Just try to read out some names.
And do check out the links that I've shared with you. Means I'll share it as well. Means it is very handy. Someone was talking about the query editor. If you want to explore more, just start with the basic operations. Just start with having a data set that you use on a daily basis and try to create visual reports, and start using exploring other functions over here from the query editor repository that we have over here with Microsoft. So there are multiple functions. So you can by any stretch of your imagination, you can do literally anything when it comes to manipulating the tables, adding rows, deleting rows. You could do multiple things. And when it comes to DAX or writing measures, this is what comes in handy, which is the data analysis expressions reference.
Yeah. Actually, if I could quickly share my screen, I just wanted to show one of the visualizations which is there.
Sorry,
Is it
Namish, I'm
possible?
sorry. I'm really sorry. This is going to be a workshop session where we are going to organize.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. Maybe if you need it, just you can reach out to in a personal email. So we'll
Yeah,
help you
sure.
out.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you. And guys, if you don't have any questions, we're going to pack up this session. And going forward, we are going to conduct a number of live workshops on multiple visualization, data science, DevOps, cloud technologies. You can track all these details in our YouTube channel for more details. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for attending this session. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for attending the session. Have a great day all, and do practice and do go to the resources that I'm going to share with you, and that's going to help you out a lot. Thank you. Have a nice day.